Welcome into the show. This is Philadelphia Eagles Now by Chat. Sports Chase Sr. here with you. And coming up, our Eagles-Rams preview as Philadelphia travels to California to play the Rams in Week 12 and beat L.A. That is the motto for the Birds all week. That's exactly what the Eagles have done. They have not lost to the Rams in L.A. since the 1970s. They look to continue that dominance. And some chat stats for you furthermore. This is the last time that the Eagles will have to board a flight for the rest of the year. That really bodes well for Philadelphia considering where they are right now and where they're trying to get to. 8-2, having won 6 games in a row, number 2 seed in the NFC, and they're leading the NFC East. And when you look at the rest of the Eagles' schedule here, this will be a competitive game against the Rams, in my opinion. Another difficult road game, but regionally it's very close to Philadelphia. Down I-95 against the Baltimore Ravens, one of the top teams in the NFL. Lamar Jackson having another MVP type of season. A cakewalk game at home against the Carolina Panthers. I do think the Pittsburgh Steelers are a threat in the NFC. That defense, one of the top units in the NFL, and they're good enough offensively along the offensive line with their running game. They have some solid wide receivers led by George Pickens. Pat Freiermuth is good, as well as Russell Wilson. Or as long as Russell Wilson can continue to play solid football, I really like the prospects of Pittsburgh maybe being able to knock off Kansas City, Baltimore, or a team like the Buffalo Bills. And then you flip the page to the last 3 games of the Eagles' schedule. We saw how they matched up against Washington on Thursday Night Football. The Dallas Cowboys are a joke, and so too are the New York Giants. And the fact that Philadelphia should be rested, not having to travel great distances, not having to board a flight, the number 1 seed, it is within grasp for Philadelphia. Of course, they'll need some help with the Detroit Lions and the rest of their remaining schedule. For this game, kickoff set for Sunday, November 24th, Sunday Night Football. This game will get underway at 8:20 p.m. Eastern, 5:20 p.m. Pacific. Philadelphia, only 3-point favorites. The over-under at 49.5, and we're going to talk about that line coming up here just around the corner. A programming reminder, we will be live for this game right here on Eagles Now, the best place to experience an Eagles game day outside of being at the actual game. We'll do a pregame show live for the game, live play-by-play audience interaction, super chat giveaways, instant reactions during the game. We'll ride that wave together, and then after the game, a postgame show. So be sure to hit that subscribe button and join us here on Philadelphia Eagles Now. Speaking of that NFC playoff picture, here are where things stand going into Week 12. Detroit Lions, number 1 seed. They've won 8 games in a row, 9-1 on the year. The Eagles, 8-2. In that 2 spot, they've won 6 games in a row. So the top 2 teams in the NFC, the 2 hottest teams in the National Football League. Arizona Cardinals, one of the surprise teams here in the NFL in 2024, leading a crazy NFC West. The Atlanta Falcons, number 4 seed because they're leading the NFC South by way of a bad division. And then the 3 wildcard teams, Vikings at 8-2, Packers at 7-3, Commanders at 7-4. And so the Rams right now are playing for their playoff lives. Their record even at 5-5. They picked up a win over the New England Patriots. It wasn't pretty to start, but then they started to find a groove in that second half against New England. The NFC East Standings, the Eagles with a 1.5-game lead thanks to taking down Washington on Thursday Night Football. 24th quarter points, an explosion for that Philadelphia offense in that 4th frame. 8-2, really sitting pretty. And these are 2 teams, Philadelphia, Los Angeles, playing very well. This game will have playoff implications. The Birds have won those 6 games in a row. It's the second longest winning streak in the NFL. The Rams, they're 4-1 in their last 5 games. So after a slow start for them, they've started to get healthy. They're starting to click on both sides of the ball. And they, too, one of the hottest teams in football. And this line is very interesting. The odds makers, I think, like the Rams a little bit in this game. They're at home, but the Eagles only 3-point favorites. I think they're a far better team, and they have a lot more talent than Los Angeles. Yet, Philadelphia only favored by a field goal here. This Bird squad, they are rolling. Led by Nick Sirianni, 8-2 or better for a 3rd straight year. That is the first time in franchise history that Philadelphia has gotten off to that type of start. The Eagles also on the road, they are road warriors, dog mentality. Philadelphia has the best road record in the NFL since Sirianni took over as head coach in 2021, and the Eagles have also won 11 straight road games after a road win. That win against the Commanders inside the friendly confines of Lincoln Financial Field. And how Philadelphia's been able to embark on this 6-game winning streak, the defense has been dominant, number 1 overall defense in the NFL during that stretch. They forced a lot of turnovers, and they're not turning the ball over offensively. This defense, 11 turnovers forced in the last 4 games. Jalen Hurts limiting those turnovers. And during that 6-game winning streak, 17 combined touchdowns to only 2 giveaways. They've had a balanced offensive attack, playing complementary football really in all 3 phases, but Saquon Barkley, a bona fide MVP candidate, and the identity of this Eagles team, they're going to bully you. They're going to play smash-mouth physical football. They will wear you down throughout the course of a 60-minute ball game while playing complementary, even-rounded football. The keys to this Rams turnaround, they've started to get healthier. And really, to begin the season, the Rams were really banged up, and injury misfortune really hit them hard. They also invested a lot in the offensive line this offseason. They've had good offensive line play despite injuries to some of those big pickups in free agency. They have a really young defense, but that defense has really started to make strides. I think Matthew Stafford has an argument to be made that he's the top quarterback in the NFC, a threat anytime he drops back to spin it, and Sean McVay, maybe the second best coach in the NFL behind Andy Reid. We're only starting to take flight here with our preview, but I do want to ask you this. Who you got? PHI for the Eagles, LAR for the Los Angeles Rams. Get those game predictions in to the comment section right now. My keys to the game coming up just around the corner, but today's Philadelphia Eagles. Now, sponsored by DraftKings. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app, sign up, and when you use the code SixersChat and you bet $5, you get $200 instantly in bonus bets. It's the best deal that any sportsbook has to offer. The Emirates NBA Cup is here. You can win big getting in on the action at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NBA. All 30 teams split into 6 groups every Tuesday and Friday, playing for the right to advance in the single elimination in-season tourney, culminating in the NBA Cup Championship in Vegas. First time here, here's something special just for you. New DraftKings customers bet $5 to get $200 in bonus bets instantly. Score big with DraftKings Sportsbook. Every point counts. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use code SixersChat. That's code SixersChat for new customers to get $200 in bonus bets when you bet just $5. Only on DraftKings. The crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort, Kansas. 21 plus age and eligibility varies by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see dkng.co/bball. And we take a gander at some DraftKings odds here. Philadelphia favorites in this game, -3, over-under 49.5. I do think this could be a high-scoring affair between Philadelphia and Los Angeles, and of course, odds and lines are subject to change. To the back half of our preview, let's ride. The Philadelphia Eagles must do the following things in order to beat the Los Angeles Rams on the road in Week 12 on Sunday Night Football to capture their 7th straight win. Let's first set the foundation and take a look at how the Rams stack up in some key areas and how Philadelphia stacks up in some key areas. As for the Rams, first, their offense. They have a lot of firepower there, but the numbers don't necessarily back up the talent that they have on the offensive side of the rock, and with Sean McVay being the brilliant, creative, and forward-thinking offensive mind that he is. The Rams have struggled a little bit as far as their production on that side of the football. 21.3 points per game. That's 21st in the NFL. They are 17th in yards per game at 336. They're only averaging 5.4 yards per play, middle of the pack in the NFL as well. They have been uncharacteristically bad on third downs, under 34%. That ranks 27th among 32 teams. And when they get inside the red zone, they're only scoring touchdowns 50% of the time. That's 25th in the NFL. Defensively for the Rams, this is a young defense that started the year getting dump trucked by some teams. They were struggling. The last few weeks, though, they've started to be better against the run, generating a pass rush, limiting explosive plays, but still for the season, surrendering 23.9 points per game. That's 22nd in the league. 23rd in yards per game, 24th in yards per play, 16th on third downs. They have been good at limiting teams in the red zone, though, only giving up a touchdown about 50% of the time. That is 11th in the NFL. This Eagles team, they have improved in a lot of these statistical categories during the 6-game winning streak, and with them rolling right now, they've been able to really elevate their game offensively and defensively. Kellen Moore's done a great job, I think, as the offensive coordinator for this team, and Vic Fangio just coaching his ass off as the Eagles defensive coordinator. Philadelphia putting up nearly 26 points per outing, 7th in the NFL, 5th most yards per game, just a tick under 380. 9th in yards per play at 5.8. They've done a great job generating explosive plays through the air and on the ground. 11th on third downs, 41.1%, and 11th in the red zone. That is an area where Philadelphia started to get better, especially over the last couple of weeks. Defensively, number 1 overall defense during this 6-game winning streak. They're giving up under 18 points per ball game for the season. That's 6th in the NFL. Number 1 in yards per game at 273.1. Number 2 in yards per play at 4.7. What a change from last year when the Eagles were atrocious. 8th on third downs and 5th in the red zone. So with that, let's do a natural segue to my keys to an Eagles win. You have to put pressure on Matthew Stafford. This, for the most part, has been an underachieving Rams offense this year, but they're capable of going off on the offensive side of the football with Sean McVay calling plays, with Matthew Stafford slinging the rock, with Cooper Kupp, Puka Nacua at that wide receiver spot, Kyron Williams at the running back position, and a good offensive line. And if you can't generate pressure on Matthew Stafford, that is a recipe for disaster, because if he has all night to throw, he will shred you. His number's a little bit down this year. He's completing under 67% of his passes, 2,500 plus yards, so he's capable of putting up a lot of yards, 13 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. The Eagles do have the dogs up front to generate that pressure on Stafford. Josh Sweat, a great year that he's having after that contract restructure. He's in a contract year trying to get that bread. Leads the Eagles with 6 sacks. Nolan Smith has at least a half sack in 3 of his last 5 games. He's been a serious factor. Jalen Carter has been one of the most disruptive and dominant defensive tackles in the game. He has 3.5 sacks. How about Milton Williams? 3 sacks for him, and Brandon Graham playing really good football this deep into his career in his mid-30s. Good against the run, good with the pass rush, 2.5 sacks for him. But this Rams offensive line, they've started to improve. They've invested a lot of money there. Alaric Jackson, 72.5. Pro Football Focus grade. Steve Avila, 64.3. The Rams have big expectations for him. That grade probably should be a little bit higher. Bo Limmer is their center, 63.5 PFF grade there. That name, just so perfect for a center. Kevin Dotson, another highly paid player, 70.4. And Rob Havenstein, 66.5. So all of these grades are pretty damn good for Los Angeles. Right about league average or above league average. I'm looking at the interior of that Rams offensive line, and I'm looking at Jalen Carter and Jordan Davis, Milton Williams, Moro Ajomo to potentially have really big games. And then, of course, at the edge spots, Josh Sweat, Nolan Smith, Brandon Graham. The Eagles have also forced 11 turnovers in their last 4 games. That is a sustainable way to play football. And when you win the turnover battle in the NFL, you win and cover about 80% of the time. Key to the game number 2. these young Eagles defensive backs, Quinyon Mitchell, Cooper DeJean, will be tested, and they're going to have to come to play. Puka Nacua missed a lot of time with a couple of different injuries. Injuries while in college at BYU were a problem for him. He had one of the best rookie years that any wide receiver has ever had in the history of football last year. And in limited time, still has 28 catches, 373 yards, had a touchdown to get on the board against the New England Patriots. He's really strong and sturdy. He has kind of sneaky good speed, able to use that body control to create separation. He is just a steady presence. He'll line up out of the slot. He'll line up outside. So I expect Cooper DeJean and Quinyon Mitchell to be able to match up, and they will be across from both Puka Nacua and Cooper Kupp. With Cooper Kupp, he also missed some time. He was banged up for a little while. He still has 47 catches for 488 yards, 4 touchdowns and a long of 69. He still has that explosiveness to his game. As for how Quinyon Mitchell has fared every week this year, Guantanamo Bay, that's the talk of the town in Philadelphia. Week 1 against the Packers, gave up 1 catch for 6 yards. Week 2 against Drake London, 1 catch for 5. Week 3 against Chris Olave, 2 catches for 23. Week 4 against Mike Evans, 2 catches for 19. Week 6 against Amari Cooper, a catch for 10 yards. Week 7 against Malik Neighbors, 1 grab for 9. Jamar Chase, 2 catches, 19 yards. Against the Jags, 1 catch, 11 yards. Week 10 against C.D. Lamb, 2 catches for 14. Week 11 against Terry McLaurin, a shutout. And so Quinyon Mitchell will be matched up against Puka Nacua. He'll be matched up against Cooper Kupp, I would imagine, here and there. And the young DBs, him and Cooper DeJean, going to have to bring it. If you are a football nerd as well, when it comes down to schematics and great minds, Sean McVay against Vic Fangio. That's as good as it gets. A great coaching matchup on Sunday night. Another key matchup that I'll be honing in on, Jordan Mailata against the rookie first-round pick out of Florida State in Jared Verse. Jared Verse has had a great rookie year. He's really started to find a groove over the last several weeks, and he's putting together a great debut season. Overall Pro Football Focus grade of 86.5, a run defense grade of 85.5, pass rush grade of 82. He has been able to notch 48 pressures, 31 hurries, and he has 4.5 sacks this year. Jalen Hurts has been pressured a lot this season. His pressure per drop back rate, one of the highest marks of his career, if not the highest. I thought Jordan Mailata, him coming back, of course, helped keep Jalen Hurts a little bit more clean against Washington, but Washington was able to generate pressure on Jalen Hurts. And so this Eagles offensive line in general will have to come to play across the board. And then Mailata against Verse, it's going to be a really good matchup. Mailata coming off that hamstring injury last week, and this year an overall Pro Football Focus grade of 91.3, pass blocking grade of 92.1, run blocking grade of 87.7. No hits allowed of Jalen Hurts. Only 1 sack and then 8 pressures surrendered. Key number 4, the Eagles might have to win by throwing the football. And they're such a complimentary team. Saquon Barkley's having an MVP caliber year, but at some point a team will load the box and they will be obnoxious in doing so just to try to force Jalen Hurts into forcing Hurts to beat them with his arm. Did that make sense? At some point, a team will load the box and force Hurts to beat them with his arm. There you go, if it didn't make sense the first time, because Saquon Barkley has been so dominant. Now, sometimes it doesn't matter because the Eagles' offensive line is so good, and they're really road graders in the run game, and they do such a good job of opening up holes. And even if Saquon just gets a sliver of daylight, he has the patience, the explosion, the decisiveness, and the pull-away speed, the athleticism to really take advantage of whatever hole the Eagles' offensive line is able to open up. But this Rams defense, they're good up front, and they've had some success in stopping the opposition's ground attack. Yards per rush, 4.3, 10th in the NFL. Yards per game, 127.3, number 18. But the Rams also aren't great in the secondary. And during the 6-game winning streak, Jalen Hurts has played pretty damn good football. Little bit of a dip in production and play, both with the eye test and the numbers against Washington. But Washington really threw the kitchen sink at him. He had a passer rating of 88.5. That was the first time during this winning streak that his passer rating has been below 100. Against the Cowboys, 115. Jags, 132.3. Bengals, 132.5. So those two games there, Jags, Bengals, he was nearly perfect. Against the Giants, 119.3. And against the Browns, 126.1. But I like how the Eagles' weapons on the outside and all of their weapons in the pass game, for that matter, match up against the Rams secondary. Darius Williams, Quentin Lake, Kobe Durant, Cam Kitchens, Cam Curl. Those are the DBs that will be on the field for this Rams team. Their PFF grades, Darius Williams, the highest at 69.2. Everybody else is about average, if not below average. Quentin Lake, 61.5. Kobe Durant, 59.8. Cam Kitchens, 59.8. And then Cam Curl at 59.3. Whereas we know what these Eagles weapons are capable of doing. A.J. Brown, a 90.3 Pro Football Focus grade. Devontae Smith, 77.3. Jahan Dotson, 56. This might be a game where if the Rams stack the box, force the Eagles to throw, where Jahan Dotson might have to finally show up and make some plays. Key to the game number 5. Nick Sirianni against Sean McVay. So many Eagles fans are like, Nick Sirianni doesn't do anything. He's not a real head coach. Being a CEO head coach doesn't matter. Well, are you going to say that about Dan Campbell? Are you going to say that about Jim Harbaugh, John Harbaugh? Are you going to say that about Mike Tomlin? Were you saying that about Bill Belichick? You don't have to call plays to be an elite coach in this league. This is a matchup between two elite coaches in the NFL. And if Nick Sirianni wins the head-to-head, he's taken down maybe the second best head coach in the NFL in Sean McVay. But because I expect this game to be close, this game could come down to some decisions on the margins. Punting or kicking a field goal. Going for it or kicking a field goal. Going for a touchdown, kicking the field goal. And so Nick Sirianni, this is a game that I expect to be close. And because I expect it to be close, those critical decisions on some of the money decisions could end up determining this football game. Nick Sirianni, 42-19 as a head coach. A winning percentage of just under 69%. Nice. Sean McVay, 75-50. A winning percentage of 60. Of course, he has that Lombardi trophy. A sneaky key point to this game. The Eagles have the rest advantage, having played on Thursday Night Football. The Rams were also on the road in Foxborough. So cross-country travel there, and I do think this crowd will be Eagles heavy as well. So let's leave you with this. Predict the score. Eagles-Rams, Sunday night primetime. Cannot wait. I think Philadelphia explodes offensively. They scored 35 points. They hold the Rams to just 24, and the Birds win their 7th game in a row to move to 9-2.